All right, folks, welcome back for our final review of season 1 of Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, getting to episode 8. Aloy, Terrell, and I are here to talk all things The Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. First thing I want to start off with is that we attended New York Comic Con, so we were at the panel. A little underwhelming for me. I can't speak for Terrell, but I was expecting a lot more. Because I didn't know that episode 8 was going to be the finale. I thought it was 10 episodes. I thought that if you had to if thus far for all these episodes, if I had to draw an episode that was going to be the conclusion, I would have just stopped at 7. But after 7 and everything that happened in 7, I was like, well, what are we going to talk about in 8? And we did get some things, but I felt like it was sort of a forced ending to get us to the end of the season.
Right.
So overall, I did enjoy this season. The pacing was a little different, and I think also with House of Dragon also being competitive in terms of the viewers, like everybody's wanting to make the big comparison to these big juggernaut of franchises and obviously production budgets and all that other stuff. How the House of Dragon had a very aggressive Tony, and this one did tell some story, gave you some action, reverted back to story and character development, and so on. But by all means, the production of Rings of Power looked fantastic. We had 5 seasons, so that's why I like the announcement of them saying season 2 at the New York Comic Con panel did nothing for us because we already knew they had to have 5 seasons.
Yeah.
And overall as a season, I expect monumentally better in season 2, because now you done laid the foundation. Everybody to know what this is. Everybody's in stride. I want things to get to going season 2. So I like season 1. I'm not mad at it. Definitely going to look back at it for the Easter eggs, understanding a lot more of these characters, especially with the reveals from this episode. Seeing if I can find some hints back then, and so on. So I'd say if I had to give it a number overall for the season, I'd say this was like a super strong, solid 8 out of 10 for me. Just production, storytelling, moderate action. The score was fantastic. Score was way beyond fantastic. If I can think of a better word here. And then overall, just because of just how this property was handled, it was definitely Lord of the Rings. This wasn't like Resident Evil on Netflix where we didn't know what that was. This was Lord of the Rings, and regardless of all of the folks that people wanted to hate about this in the beginning, they damn sure watch all 8 episodes of them, because all that hatred went away. We saw it in the comments for the folks that was hating in the beginning. All that razzle dazzle bullshit that people were mad about, racism and all that other stuff, and the wokeness and all that other stuff, forget it. Y'all past that. So I'm expecting a lot come season 2, but for season 1, not mad at all. That's my assessment. What you got for me?
Yeah, like you said, overall good season. I probably would have gave it a score around that as well. My biggest issue with the series is there was a lot of characters that I feel like got hyped up before announcement that didn't really get used in the show at all. And particularly some of the dwarven characters, where you barely see them. And if I had to count the scenes or the time, they probably didn't even have 20 or 30 minutes worth of screen time in the entire show.
Yeah.
The show was mainly focused around Galadriel and kind of like the Harfoots journey, and which kind of intertwine. But I just wish a lot more characters would have got more to do throughout the show and a little bit more screen time. Like I said, I thought the fights were cool. As we wind down the last 2 episodes, the fights were cool. And the costume, the amazing. The music was amazing, like you said. Overall, I mean, it just felt good to be back in the world of Lord of the Rings that is not forced to do a 3-part movie for no reason whatsoever. The Hobbit. But yeah, I'm just glad that we're able to kind of get back into that. And television is better than it's ever been within the last 5-10 years, man, where we're able to do big budget productions like this on a streaming service, Amazon, and them have the money to do so. So I'm glad that we're back in this world and we get to explore more of that before or possibly after, depending on where this show goes. But I'm loving it so far.
Yeah, it's hard to complain when we're getting more content and we're not just getting just
Right.
IPs just being thrown away just for the sake of saying, oh, I can do something with it. Like there's obviously an aggressive effort when it comes to the Lord of the Rings, when it comes to Game of Thrones, you know, and I compare the two of them because they're the two hottest shows on television right now.
Oh yeah.
And because they're both major productions, and it's just good to have them, whatever side you want to be on. It's just good to have this content for you to choose from if you want, consume both if you need, however you want to be. So, you know, very, very satisfied. What a time to be alive. That's my
Absolutely.
thing. What a
Yeah.
time to be alive. But yeah, the New York Comic Con panel, you know, we did a little bit of coverage, a little bit of tweeting, a little bit of photos and whatnot. Wasn't no major news in terms of our pivotal characters. They were there. At least it wasn't. So I'll be clear. The characters I wanted there wasn't there. And the characters that had a lot to really go into episode 8 was there. And surely if we had known what was to expect, it would have been a lot different of a panel. But they did say that everyone's script was redacted, so no one knew how the finale was going to be. That's why this review is delayed, because we also didn't get to see it early because they wanted to keep everything under wraps. So overall, the big reveals, which we'll talk about in a second, is going to be interesting. But folks, if this is your first time checking us out, we try to do something a little bit different. We try to give you our top 3 of anything within the episode. So it'll be our top favorite moments, our least favorite moments, whatever it may be. And I'm just going to start off by saying, like, obviously I think this is the no-brainer here, but the top 3 reveals of this episode, like, because that's what we got. And I was definitely questioned about, like, what would they bring in the finale that we didn't already have? I mean, think about this. When Galadriel and Hellbrand left, we was just like, okay, well, now what? I mean, he goes to get healthy, and I guess the last bit then we get is the rings, and that's it. And they did set up a lot of stakes going forward. It almost feel like they wrapped the season up as even if we didn't have to have any more, period. Like they really tight knit it in a way that you're like, okay, that's a very, very complete season. We don't need any more. But having more is obviously something we're not going to reject. But in my first reveal, in my top 3 of the reveals this episode, it's obviously Hellbrand. I mean, it's crazy because we sort of very early, maybe episode 4 or something, we was just like, hey, dude is moving like he got a little something in his veins, you know, like he got some skill. And, you know, and obviously I thought the result was like, oh, because, you know, he was in sort of the bloodline of
wherever he came from.
Yeah, he was the king. He was the one that they had always heard about. So we thought that was that until he ended up, you know, getting hurt in battle. That's even questionable now, to finding out that, oh, my man is Sauron this entire time. It's crazy that Galadriel been looking for this guy her entire journey, and he finds her. And it does tell a lot about what we know about Galadriel going forward, about this sort of, she's always had that dark element to her, which is something I totally forgot about. So those moments of the of them having those little, you know, moving from different environments, her being underwater, her being on the raft, and him kind of talking her through everything, was not anything I seen coming, but man, was it needed. And I think there's got to be somebody out there on the YouTube world that had kind of sorted this out a couple of episodes ago, had to been, because it is the story that had needed to been told. It's just crazy how they did it. And then finding out that he was Sauron this entire time is kind of like
not on my suspect list at all.
Not at all. I mean,
he definitely threw you off.
Robbed us blind, took all our money, emptied our bank accounts, and out like a thief in the night. Like, I just didn't see it coming. But so I don't have too much more to elaborate, but I have got to go back now. And I really want to pick things out.
Breadcrumbs.
Like, yeah, I really want to see the story turn out, because that might be some of the best. That might be one of the best story arcs of this season that no one's talking about. So I was just like, oh man, where did that come from? So
and they trick you out twice throughout the episode. Like, psych. Like, oh yeah, you thought it was him. All right, this is somebody. I'm like, okay.
I was just like, what? So there's that. So yeah, that's my first reveal. I may think of something else with that, but I definitely knew that just caught me way off guard. How Brand was definitely something I just did not see coming. So hey, but by the way, the final shot of him going to Mount Doom is so cool. God, that's cool. Oh my God, I can't wait till we get to get back into God. No, the what's the name of the area? Mordor. Thank you. Cannot wait till we get to Mordor season 2 because God, that was the shot. Looks so cool.
Shadows of Mordor. Let's give you that story.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do that. I'm with that. Yeah, but what you got for us? What you tackling on?
So my list this week was simply titled, "Huh? What's going on?" You know, with the Mark Wahlberg face, huh? But yeah. So one of the big scenes was like the king, you know, having his moment before he gets outed. Before he gets got. Oh, he did. I mean, he died of natural causes, I guess. And he confesses to I can't think of his name. This the sister, the woman. What's going on? Because he's talking to the queen.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least maybe he didn't. We don't know if he's in his right frame of mind. If he thinks he's talking to her, it was meant for her.
Can I tell you how eerie that is? That we got the same storyline in both Lord of the Rings and in House of Dragon. When the king died and he thought he was talking to Veneer and he wasn't. It's the same thing. So, but that's it was mind blowing. Yeah. So Han is definitely like, am I having a minute of deja vu for that? That's crazy. Good point, Doug. Go for it.
So you know, she you know, he reveals some things to her that I'm really not too clear because it's kind of puzzling, and reveals a secret door. But we know she goes up to like where the orb was, and you know, the same orb that Galadriel had the opportunity to touch, and yada yada yada. And you know, of course, you know, she gets revealed some information that we don't know. And of course, by the time you know, the queen and them get back, and they're pretty much preparing for a funeral at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know where her story goes. And again, like I was saying earlier, characters that didn't really get used, we don't really have too much backstory for. This is a character that we're clearly setting up for season 2. Like, what are we going to do with her? What was the information that she revealed? Is she the next queen potentially? You know, who knows? But like I said, whatever that was a big what is going on in this moment, because they really didn't get a lot. You didn't get a lot of elaboration within the last 20 minutes of the final episode. So
yeah.
I don't know if you had any theories on that. What potentially could have been revealed?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll let that marinate for a little bit. Let that marinate for a little.
What you got?
Obviously, my second one now goes to the stranger. This was a very, very beautifully shot sequence between the trio and him, as well. They thought they were playing spoilers very early in this episode, which to me, I instantly thought like, oh, that's why they didn't want this out, because that's a big reveal. We find out that this guy is Sauron, and there had already been other rumors on the contrary. So I really love how they did this. I mean, I know the fans and us, we had a good time assuming one thing, coming in thinking one thing, and then they just pulling the chair from under us by the end of the episode here. So the stranger, who is not evil, he's actually on the other side. He's good.
Right.
And it doesn't quite say who, so we're not going to say Gandalf, folks. But I do love, as I've been saying for previous episodes, is that I do love that we do get the Harfoot and Nori and the stranger relationship, which is mirroring of Gandalf and all of the hobbits with all I care about is Sam, but what's his name? Frodo. All I care about is Sam, but Frodo. So I love that. And even before that, the other hobbit who, you know, obviously told the book of the hobbits, who read that, who lived that, shall I say. So I like that dynamic. So it's easy to say, like, without knowing, it's like, okay, this guy's definitely in some type of ancestry to the wizards. But we did obviously get a reveal, finding out that he is from the Astari, which is of that, aka wizards of that line. So confirmed. Now it's just a matter of who. And it potentially could be Gandalf, but God, would that have been so much to give right now? But I thought that, like, it was really cool to have that moment of us knowing what these three others, what their motive was, assuming he was Gandalf. I mean, assuming he was Sauron, but ended up coming out, finding out that he was on the other as he sort of sent them to the Shadow Realm.
They explain what the time difference is between this and where we come into with the movies, right?
Yeah, I forget the time, but yes,
A couple hundred, maybe like 100, 200 years. Because like if this is potentially Gandalf, how does he age? Because we know he doesn't age at a normal rate. You know what I mean? So like how many hundreds of years after this?
Yeah,
you know, does this thing go on for? So
yeah. And don't forget that, like, and as much as it could be Gandalf too, it could be Saruman. What's his name? What was his counterpart? Dude? Yeah. So
the gray or whatever his name is.
Well, he was, yeah, right, exactly. So like, you know, and don't forget at one point he was good,
right?
So, and actually the timelines kind of match up here when you think about it, because you know you had when you remember in the Hobbits, he had the scene which was one of my favorite sequences in all of film. The scene where him, Galadriel, and Eldron are up there just kicking ass against those dark creatures or whatnot.
Oh,
so
yeah.
So you know, could be. So, but yeah, that was dope. I mean, obviously there's more to kind of see how this plays out, but it's good because now we do get what I think is going to be a really big element going in the next season is the adventures of Nori and the Stranger, and that may overtake. Cool. Yeah, I think it's going to be a fan favorite. I think Nori this episode again was just always somebody that you want to make sure she's good, and you just care for her. And now that she's, you know, leaving her whole Hartford crew and her best friend, it's just kind of just like, well, I can't wait to see what they get into next. You know, what's that for them? So that's my second reveal as we find out that the Stranger is actually good.
Yeah. My second one also kind of ties in what you were saying too, and more so of the conversation of what the Stranger's abilities could be. Is they explain to him like, hey, you're gonna be controlling fire. You control the dust, the whatever. Which, you know, this is supposed to be, you know, also reveals us what Sauron's power set is capable of too. That we now know, you know, Hellbrand, what he's capable of, and if he knows he's able to control that magic. I mean, obviously he knows who he is. So how much did he control from A to B now? Like, you know, how much magic that the mountain and everything, the events, did he have anything to do with that? You know what I mean? Did he have anything with that being in the play? And I was just questioning, like, if he had access to his magic at that point, how much of the events were controlled from the water to Numenor, back to the lands to whatever, stuff like that. And, you know, but they have a whole back and forth with the battle there, and we see a preview of how strong the Stranger is, and you know what his abilities are, and these creatures that he, like you said, banishes to the Shadow Realm. I just thought that was interesting to get an idea of like what the power set is and what he's capable of. Because I mean, for the most part, when we see wizards, they have some type of like magical item that's like a conduit for their power or whatever like that they channel through. So maybe, you know, like you said, as we get into season 2, we'll have a little bit more. He'll have like a weapon, some object or something to be able to channel his magic, because we already see that he's able to restore life and vegetation to certain lands, like he did with that tree. And of course, you know, various other things that we've seen him do. So curious to see like how strong his power grows and what else he can do. Reveal if we ever find out who he actually is in the show.
You're right. You bring up a good point, because again, with Saruman the White, who was the original leader, then you had Gandalf the Gray, even you had a couple of blue wizards, and then you also had a brown.
Right.
Just make him another color. Green makes sense to his power set, you know. So, right. and again, like that's the thing with these reviews, because I know everybody wants us to be very deep in the lore, but I also think there's a certain level of just consuming this and just letting it be what it is, and
Right.
having a little bit of background, whether it's just the original trio or the Hobbit trio, that like understanding that this is still trying to tell a different story or expanding the world some. So the story of who he may be and what he may become, I think we can just leave it as saying like he's a wizard. We know he's going to have advanced intellect. He's going to have beyond human ability.
Right.
And obviously he's going to have a power set of some sort, which we see this has something to do with vegetation and the growth in
Right.
greenery. So we'll see what else he has. And we've seen other like elemental manipulation. So is my man an avatar or what? Because like
right. Firebender out here.
Yeah, and I'm cool with that. And that's the fun part about it. And also, what as much as it is about the stranger, I'm also interested to see how we talk about the conduit. Where does Nori fit in all of this? Nori provokes him to be his better self. We've seen this character really unshelled because of what Nori brings to him, and I'm Team Nori all the way. It's my second favorite character in all of this. That's all I gotta say. By the way, with this being the finale, we definitely didn't see like half of the characers in this.
That's episode. What I'm saying.
It's really wild to me. Like, what's happening with everybody else? But I don't know. Anyway, go ahead. That's your second or first?
That's second. Yeah.
Okay, then I mean, my third in the reveals is the rings here, and obviously we wanted to see just the process and the decision making, and I think as we see Galadriel really struggle mentally presently, I think those moments that she had with Sauron, obviously seeing her brother, it's very clear that she's struggling internally as well too, and in these dream states. And I think that her finding out that the person that she finally opened up to in Hellbrand ends up being the person she was looking for the entire time.
But you can't say nothing.
And it's wild. I mean, it's obviously we know the elves are smart, so it didn't take Elrond long to figure out what was going on. I mean, you're not going to ask what happened down by the water and just ignore it and think he's not going to go find out, even though he like very circumstantially he's like, yeah, I think I'll do my ring crafting over here in the water by the place I wanted to go to. Oh, what do we have here? Oh, I'll take that, and there we go. So the rings and the forging of the rings, the design of it, obviously, and the decision that it's only going to be for elves, and this definitely saves them. But this understanding the process of how they had to do it, the design of it, the Galadriel's decision to keep it within them, and even with Elrond, there's the point where you start to think that others consider it like, well, it can't be a crown. We can't get it to balance there. It can't be two. I thought three was a really weird, odd thing to think equality here. Like, what? But yeah, just the whole thing of seeing it. And the reason why this is my third one, because this isn't a goddamn show. The Rings of Power. When are we going to see these rings? And that's all I knew that we could get in this episode. So getting that was like, finally, the rings. Now where do we go? Now that they now have possession of the most powerful elements in all of, and then not just Middle Earth, but everywhere. And finally, and funny enough, my man Hellbrand was just right there. He actually made decisions on how this should work, and then he just steps off.
Well, yeah, they definitely explain, like, as we know, like he made a ring for himself, and he had to have one ring that more powerful than the other. Yada yada. I don't know if that comes into play, if that came into play here, because obviously he's being watched, or if that happens like later on, like he got a little piece of whatever that he's going to be able to use later.
He has everything he needs going right back to his kingdom. He got all of the knowledge and the ingredients, shall I say, to do what he got to do. So yeah, there's more to come in this reveal of the rings, and obviously like the dwarfs. We also know that they had one, so it's just gonna be interesting to see how this all goes and whatnot. So
just what because you kind of went into the rings thing, but like I was also another one of the moments I had was the relationship between the queen and the captain Elendil. Like, is it more than just you know, what they've shown her, you know, him serving as queen, because it seems like they almost kind of have a relationship there a little bit more, or they just never acted on it. But you get a little taste of that about how close he is, how formal he is with her behind closed doors. And I was very curious as to, okay, are we going to see a little bit more of that going into the second season, because now they both lost people important to them. And you know, that usually draws people close to each other. So I wonder if we'll get a little bit more of that, and how the queen's blindness is going to affect her role in saving Numenor going forward. That's definitely been definitely on my table, but definitely more of, are we going to get more of the captain and the queen regent, their relationship in season 2?
Yeah, definitely seems a little
Right.
what's going on with you all. And you know,
for a second.
yeah, he passed blame. You know, he talked about how all the moments of everything led to this, but he was short of words when it came down to, but I would do anything for the queen. And that definitely felt like a very intimate statement. Which, by the way, his son is alive. That's just what it is. The horse.
Yeah, because they never showed it, right? Like, I mean, as far I got to go back and watch the whole series again, but like, again, I don't remember seeing the body, or maybe we just seen him laid out and they just was like, all right, he dead, and let's keep it moving. But I don't think he's dead.
I don't think so either, and I think that's going to be a big revelation going into season 2. So, I know we could talk more about predictions going into the season, but we'll keep it at that. So, last thing we're going to end off with is a lot of what we said in the beginning. Overall, what did you give the season? What did you give the finale?
I thought the finale was full of twists and turns, man. I mean, this is, again, a solid 8. Like you said, a solid 8, because I just wish that other characters had more time to shine. And we leave off on that whole with the Balrog thing, and we just gotta eat that for God knows when they're gonna reveal that again. I mean, we know in the movies when we see that thing again. But you know, just overall, I thought they did a really good job pacing it out. You know, we spent a lot of time with God, what is the dude that was trying to bring back the darkness? Start with an S. That just magically disappeared at the end when the mountain was.
Sauron?
Not Sauron. The other dude that was like semi-servant Sauron or whatever.
Oh, Adar.
Adar, yeah. Get more of him. I thought we was going. Yeah, I thought we were going to see some more of him in the last episode.
Which was interesting. I forgot about this. Oh, this is something going in season 2 that's interesting. Right. Where Hellbrand was basically like, "Hey, so you were basically going after my enemy as well too. So like, I guess we had to kind of team up.
Yeah, it's a win-win situation.
My friend. Yeah, so." Very, very tactical there, and so that's just a threat that I didn't think was an ultimate threat, but that's got to be something that they got to capitalize on. But yeah, overall the season I thought was a solid 8. The finale's like a 7 to me, because there's a lot more questions than answers, which is fine, because we know we got 5 seasons. But I also like my finales to just be a very tight bow with a minor cliffhanger. To him looking at Mount Doom is all we needed, because now we know where he's going. That's all we needed. But beyond that, we got so many other questions of where everybody's at. Bronwyn and her rule, and Anandir alongside of her, and what's happening with the king dying, where's Queen Regent going back? Forgetting all the names now. Numenor, thank you. Like, there's so many different things that we got questioned about, like, which is cool, but it's way too goddamn many. Yeah. Way too many. Yeah. Way too many.
They prepared to get this second season rolling. So
for real, better be back 2023. I doubt it's gonna be like 2024. Who knows?
Jeez, really?
I don't know. They haven't enough.
They can't skip it that long. Yeah, every 2 years.
And they're filming now, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. So, but yeah, folks, jump in the comments. Let us know your thoughts about the finale. Let us know what you thought about our style of reviewing, where we go over our top 3. Do you want to see something different? Are you liking this? I'm trying to do something different from what everybody else is doing. I'm not going to sit here and lie like we are the most, like, the biggest in the lore. We're going to have every bit of Easter eggs and whatnot. We just try to find something fun as we enjoy the show. Hopefully you're enjoying the show. That way we just try to put out something fun and some content for you all to want to tune in. So we just try to pick our top 3 of whatever. And hopefully next season we can get into our top 3 BS moments, because that's the one I've been waiting. I actually could have did BS here. Like, this ending is BS. Like, hello, we need a lot more answers to a lot more characters here. But I know. But yeah, jump in the comments, folks. Let us know. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to us for our Lord of the Rings of Power Season 1 coverage. A lot more to come as we have a lot more seasons to go. So thank you for tuning in. Y'all be safe, and we'll see you around very soon.
See you next season.